Welcome to the Empowered Team Podcast. I am your host, Kari Schneider, and today we're going to talk about the 3 main ways you are communicating without saying a word. You're doing this all the time. So am I. We all are. And yet we don't realize how much it's communicating. So today you're going to come away with these 3 main ways. And I've actually taught this to many people because I had to, because I realized they were tuning out. And what it's going to cost you if you don't. Because if you don't, you're losing the trust, you're losing the message, you're losing the interaction and connection. And yet, when you get these, when you nail these 3 ways of communicating without speaking, then you build the trust, you build the connection, you create more connection that's going to last because it's building on a foundation. All right, let's go. Let's dive right in. I got all kinds of good stuff for you. So the reason that I've made this is part of our series of 3 episodes. The last episode was the truth about lying. This one is basically all of the 3 main ways you're communicating without saying a word and what it's costing you. And next time, we're going to talk about impatience. It's another form of interaction. We're looking at how we interact with others. Today, the reason this topic came about is simply because I spent so many years, we're talking over 2 decades, in high performance environment, Olympic level, national level teams. When I was communicating with them, I had their attention. I had their respect, especially after the first and second years I was working with national teams. I had to really earn it in those first and second years. And then after that, my reputation preceded me. People paid attention. They were right involved and engaged in every interaction. And I got used to this. I kind of got complacent. I was accustomed to people showing up in a way that was so engaging without speaking. And it was powerful. And I had this in business interactions. I had this at top team interactions. And then I went and volunteered for my kids' sports. And something very different happened. One of the first times I ever volunteered, this is a little side note, one of the first times I ever volunteered for my oldest daughter's soccer, and we're talking little 4-year-olds running around the field, and I'm, this coach coming from a high-performance sport, and I figure I'm going to come in and help out with my 4-year-olds coaching. And so I'm coaching with another parent out there, and I'm wearing sweatpants. And one of these little kids pantsed me. They pulled my sweatpants down when I was on the field coaching the other little kids, which is the little amoeba ball. And I was like, okay, this is how it's going to be, is it? And it taught me really fast that the culture of high performance, the expectation of the culture of high performance, the expectation of showing up at that highest level simply does not happen at that level. And even flash forward when we're getting to players that are anywhere between those ages of 12 and 18, you've got young athletes. And you look at this in an employee environment, you've got employees that maybe were never taught how to show up. And so what I found is when I started volunteering in the sports for my kids in those ages of 12 to 18, I would end up bringing in that lesson in the first or second interaction so that they knew how I expected them to show up for themselves, for me, and for each other. Now, this works perfectly in a work environment, showing up for themselves, for each other, and for the coach or the leader or whoever's there in this work environment. It speaks respect. It speaks that you're interested. It speaks that you are curious and engaged. And it's so powerful for building trust. This is what most company cultures need. This is what most sports environments need. This is what most families need. And this is what more of the world needs, is showing up for yourself and for each other. And this is what I was teaching. How the heck do you show up? And it came down to 3 really key things. Showing up with your eyes and your face. So what this is communicating, your face here. Showing up with your body and showing up with your mouth. your words. More specifically, showing up with your voice, not just showing up with saying certain things, but the tone, the pacing, the emphasis, the volume. All of that was so important. So these three things, showing up with your eyes and your face, showing up with your body, and showing up with your voice. Those three things for yourself, for whatever leader is with you, and for each other made a huge difference for setting the tone for the chemistry of the group and going forward. And it's the thing that helped me make progress with people so much faster. If I didn't have that prerequisite, if I didn't have that how to show up in these three ways right off the hop, then what I saw was problems later. And I saw it not only from my own experience, but I saw it with other coaches. I saw them deal, or leaders. I saw people in work environments deal with the same problems with the same people going on for sometimes months or years. And it's something that if it was set in the culture, if it was set in the very beginning, it wouldn't have dragged on. It wouldn't have been a problem. But it has to be identified. If it's not identified, then there's nothing to teach, nothing to fix. And this is the way to identify it. It is the eyes and the face, it is the body, and it is the voice, how the voice is coming out. Doesn't even really matter what words are being said. So I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper with a little bit of research to help support this so you can deliver it for yourself and the people that you lead, for your teams, whoever you got around you. Awesome, awesome thing. All right. So the first thing, if you've had problems with this, don't expect that it's going to be this immediate fast fix, because how you are allowing it perpetuates the problem. And when I say you, this is all of us. I've been there. I'm just teaching you the things I've learned the hard way and witnessed in business and witnessed with leaders. This is the stuff I get to work with on a day-to-day basis and have worked with for over 30 years. So let's dive in. One of the things about number one, which is your eyes and your face, is that our brains are primed for looking for danger. And we don't even realize it happens so fast that we don't even realize how fast it's happening within a millisecond, within 100 milliseconds. That's how fast we're judging a person's face to see whether it's dangerous or not, to see whether they're curious, whether they're involved, whether they're engaged. This is the stuff that we don't even realize is happening. So if I share this with you, know that you're doing this every time you see a new face. Know that you're doing this every single time you have an interaction with a group and you're scanning the faces. I know that I have a workshop coming up, and when I'm in that room, a room full of 100 strangers, and I'm looking around, little am I even aware of that my brain's been looking for danger across all of them so fast. So this is what the research says. There was research back in 2006 published in Psychological Science by a researcher named Janine Willis and Alexander Todorov. And what they did, they really wanted to know how quickly humans can judge strangers. How fast they form those judgments with strangers. And they looked at 100 milliseconds of flashing photographs, flashing them in front of them. And then they gave them more time to look at the photographs as well. But what happened is that judgments made after 1/10 of a second glance were highly consistent with the judgments when they didn't have time constraints, when they could stare at the face and look at it longer. So we are making these judgments so fast, and the only thing that would happen is that if they were given more time, it didn't change the judgment, it boosted the confidence in that original judgment. So we are making judgments about other people's faces so fast. So now imagine when you're in the boardroom or you're in the meeting and you can see the face go offline. You can see the eyes deaden. You can see the glance away. And when you see that, you realize you've lost them. Nothing like losing them. And then you are either speaking faster or raising your volume or trying to emphasize a point 3 times over because you've lost them. If you felt that feeling, it's not fun at all. So it ends up triggering, if there's a leader or a speaker or a coach, it ends up triggering this little fear response, which isn't so little, by the way. And it's our brain's primal center. It's our amygdala. It's the thing that's going to have us go, uh-oh, they aren't paying attention. What do I do? You might start to overreact and become less of the leader that you need to be in that situation. We don't want that. So we want to teach people how to engage by showing up with their face, by keeping the eye contact. And the gift that I had in high performance sport is that most athletes, by the time they get to a junior national team, a B team, a senior national team, they've been coachable. They've learned that maintaining a soft eye contact gaze by smiling occasionally, by doing the nods, those types of mannerisms or those types of facial expressions and eye contact is what gives the interaction silently. It gives the confidence that I am engaged, the messaging that I am engaged. The eyes specifically, the eyes transmit the energy, signals interest, and openness. Research shows that people are more attracted to and engaged with and more trusting of people who make appropriate eye contact and smile more often. That's all. So simple. So simple. So easy. And what it means for you is that gives the feedback. If you've done that for someone else, it gives you the feedback. It gives them the feedback that you're engaged. If someone else has done that for you, you've gotten the feedback that's saying, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. I didn't lose you. I'm not off in my head thinking about something else. This is where, when someone's trained to do this, it signals that there's openness and readiness. When someone's eyes deaden, it signals the exact opposite. So you've lost them in the meeting. The darting eyes, maybe they're uncomfortable. They don't have the report ready. The direct, warm eye contact, signaling trust, signaling I'm here with you. The challenge for most leaders is that they don't know what their own face is doing. The challenge for most family members, employees, people everywhere is they're not aware of what their face is doing. They're not aware of what their face is communicating. Have you ever heard of RBF? Kind of a funny one is resting bitch face. Yeah, we don't realize what we're doing. We just sit there, tuned out, tuned in. Even if we're tuned in, we don't realize how much our face and our eyes are communicating. All right, that's number 1, your eyes and your face. Number 2 is your body. Oh, most of us have heard about our body and being engaged that way. But here's the thing about your body. You may have seen the TED Talk. It was one of the top TED Talks ever delivered by Dr. Amy Cuddy. And she's from Harvard Business School. And this TED Talk is back from 2015. Phenomenal TED Talk. But it was talking about power poses, positioning yourself so that you end up holding confidence for yourself and others perceive you as confident in the room. It's really, really powerful. And think about it. I'm going to bring the sports analogy in here. Every single human you've seen celebrate a win, what do? Fist pump in the air, 2 hands in the air, jump up and down. What are they doing with their body? They're making their body really, really big. And when they make their body really big, they are signaling confidence, celebration, winning, all of those, owning what just happened. And what happens when you see the other team lose? This happened recently if you watch the Olympics. If you watch the hockey team, the Canadian hockey team lose to the U.S. team, you see the differences in what happens, the celebration differences. One is getting small, upset, lost the confidence, they lost the game. The other one is going big, powerful, celebrating. And it shows all over the body. It's a pattern that you keep seeing. Some walk in a room like they own it. Some make themselves small because they don't want to be seen. What are you signaling? Because it signals low power when we make ourselves small. It signals confidence when we make ourselves larger. And it's so simple in a room, even if people are sitting down, shoulders back, head high, posture up. That alone signals attention. That alone signals confidence. That also, the leaning in with that kind of confident posture signals interest, curiosity. And when we're not doing that, consider a team huddle. Consider a team meeting. And you see someone's shoulders turning away from the person talking. You see someone slouching down, or their posture is down, but their eyes might just be looking up. All of those things are signaling whether they're interested or not. And that's a form of showing up. It's the communication that is loud and clear, whether it's tuned out or tuned in. People can hear it, even though nothing is being said. The other one that I want you to think about, it's not just the postural position. It's also shoulders. It's also feet. It's also hips. It's also appropriate space. Is it appropriate for you to take up a huge amount of space, even though the room might be really small? You can still hold presence and confidence without making yourself really big. You can still be small in stature. I'm very small in stature, but I can hold presence. Those things make a big difference. There's signals that might contract, crossing arms, hunched shoulders, legs tight together, physically withdrawing, leaning back, checking your phone. How about that one? Just checking your phone. It's a physical body signal that's so powerful and tells somebody immediately that your attention is not on them. Your attention is elsewhere. Now, in Amy Cuddy's research, she looked at this, the power positions, the shoulders back, hands on hips, even crossing the legs if the legs were up on a desk. There's so many different ways that she took a look at. And one of the things in her research she looked at was the person's hormonal changes. Now, that research has been challenged. However, the original research around the position and the person's confidence with the position holds, and it's been replicated over and over again. Those findings, how others perceive you and how you feel, has held up in dozens of studies. That kind of intellectual research is an honesty that builds your credibility when you're practicing those positions. All right, that's body. That's number 2. Number 3, this one is interesting because even though it's not speaking, it's using your voice. And there's a quote, it's not what you say, it's the music underneath it. So we're talking tone, we're talking pacing, we're talking volume. These are the types of things that have people tune in or tune out. There's some famous research back in the 70s. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, and this is out of the psychology department at UCLA. And his research was famous because he basically pointed out how words, tone and expression, so tone and facial expression, what we've already talked about, were so much more than just the 7% accounted for actual words. So the facial expression would be 55%, the tone would be 38%. And it would conflict because if someone's words were saying something, but their facial expression and their tone said something else, it would be hard. They would go with the tone and the facial expression, not the actual words. So think of me saying something like, yeah, I loved that movie. Now, if you saw me on YouTube, because this podcast is sometimes just listened to if you're on iTunes or Spotify, But if you're on YouTube and you saw my facial expression, yeah, I loved that movie, then you can see that my facial expression doesn't match what I was saying. And the tone sounded snarky. The tone sounded like whatever, that kind of thing. And there's something specific about this research that was done. The problem with it is that it didn't hold true all the time, but it did hold true in emotional dynamics. So you want to make sure that it's not just the words. And if it was an emotional conversation, then that's when this research held true the most. However, if it was more of a neutral conversation, not quite as much, but an emotional conversation, definitely. It feels like something is off when your tone says something different than what the words said. If I say, oh yeah, I hate chocolate, I love chocolate. The tone and the tone and the facial expression are saying something different than when I say I hate chocolate. If I said to you, I hate chocolate, you'd believe that I hate chocolate. But when I say, oh yeah, oh, I hate chocolate, do you believe me? I doubt it. Because the tone and the facial expression are saying something else. So your voice really matters. When your voice, if you're on the listening side of things, it's just as powerful as your speaking. So the voice, whether it's the listening end or the tone and the voice end, it matters so much. And I'm not including any words, nothing at all. If you are listening to someone else, you're listening to how they're speaking. You're listening to the speed of their speaking. Are they fearful? What's the emotional tone? What's happening in how they're communicating? If you can pay attention to those things, it's a form of showing up. How your voice indicates your support for someone else, whether it's soft and encouraging, whether it's loud and reassuring, whether it's fast and uncertain, all of those things, notice how I added an emotional component to it. Encouraging, reassuring, uncertain. Those things matter. So your voice and listening to someone's voice is critical in how you show up. Whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end of the communication, you are still showing up. Because if I'm in the position of the listener, I'm showing up with my eyes, I'm showing up with my facial expression, I'm showing up with my body, and I'm showing up with my listening. If I'm on the communicating side of things, I'm showing up with my eyes, I'm showing up with my facial expression, I'm showing up with my body, and I'm showing up with my communicating tone, pacing, volume. This is also important. So these 3 ways of showing up without the verbal part of it is critical for the connection and trust. If we don't do it, we're not going to have it. And if we don't do it and teach it in the beginning, then you're not going to have it long term. Now, some of you might be listening to this going, why should I have to teach grown adults who I am employing and paying to show up? That's their job. Well, I'm going to tell you this. You may believe that you shouldn't have to, but you should still do it because it sets an expectation and you're having an assumption that someone would have taught them or they would have taught themselves how to do this ahead of time and they should be doing it because you're paying them. And that assumption can be extremely costly in a work environment, especially for your time. Because if they haven't learned how you expect them to show up, and you're assuming that they're going to do it, you're then costing yourself in the long run when you realize that they've tuned out. You realize that they didn't get the message. You realize that they don't know how to show up in those nonverbal ways that can really support the culture and support the dynamic of interaction when you're working with them. So these things are worth doing. It's not babysitting. It's high-level practice. It's not making them wrong for how they're acting. It's creating a standard that creates an amazing culture. It's something that is worth doing, and it might just take a second. And the first thing that you can do with your voice, with your listening, the pause, the pace, the tone, the warmth, the first thing you can do is practice it yourself. There's no way you're going to be able to ask it from other people when you're not practicing it yourself and you don't understand what it takes. Like I said before, people don't understand how to manage their own face. They don't realize how their face is communicating so much when they're in environments with other people. And other people don't even realize how fast they're picking up on the facial expression. This is important. Okay. So what I challenge you to do is practice this yourself. In fact, if you've got these 3 channels broadcasting, I'm broadcasting with my eyes and my face, broadcasting with my body, broadcasting with my tone and my pacing, my warmth in my voice. If you know you're broadcasting all of this, then practice it. Pick up on it. Take a look at this week. Okay, which channel am I if I can't pay attention to all 3, which one can I pay attention to? Can I pay attention to my voice? Can I pay attention to whether my eyes are engaging and making eye contact? Can I pay attention to my facial expressions when that person is talking to me? Can I pay attention to the position I'm holding in my chair, or whether I'm going to do this Zoom on a standing meeting instead so that I have more body engagement? Pay attention. Pick one channel, just one, and pay attention to that so that then you're going to feel and know what it's like to teach that to someone else because you've been practicing it. It will pay massive dividends. Your return on investment for teaching your crew, your team, your work environment, your leaders, for teaching them how to show up in these 3 ways will work for your company. It'll work for your culture. It'll work for the chemistry because it works for humans. It works for human connection. All right. Share this with someone who has experienced some disconnection in their team, disconnection in their life, because these 3 ways of showing up are so simple, so powerful, and they make a huge difference. They really clean out the stuff that's getting in the way and you don't even realize it is. You've got this. Go be empowered. Keep doing your thing, and we'll see you next week.